I'm walking up to this camel. They're down on their knees, right? This camel looks at my size. He looks me right in the eyes, and I swear I saw a tear. Welcome to this week's edition of the Weekly Travel Alert. I'm Steve Glenn.
I'm Paul Glenn.
And Paul, this week we're talking about Dubai, United Arab Emirates. All right. I am just back from a week in the United Arab Emirates at a travel conference, and I put together a list of the top 12 things that you can enjoy when you're traveling to Dubai.
I've heard you and your stories about Dubai for years now, so let's see what you've got to add to the list.
The top 12. If you're ready, we're ready to rumble, huh?
Let's do this.
Okay, number 1. I visited the tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa. Okay. 163 stories, something like that.
62, 63.
It's up there.
It's big.
Every time I go, if I'm traveling on Emirates, I try to stop in Dubai and go up to the Burj Khalifa, and it's just breathtaking. It's the tallest, obviously, in the world. And the night view is what I like to do, is see the night view. And you see the city of Dubai, and then you see the desert, the starkness of the desert.
Now, we've done trips to Hong Kong where we've been in buildings, the Ritz-Carlton Hong Kong. You know, the club is on the 119th floor. You're above the clouds.
Yeah.
Does Dubai, do they have clouds? Do you get similar experiences to that, or is it tend to be pretty clear?
Well, this past year it's rained more than it's ever rained in Dubai. They've had record-setting rains, but there aren't as many clouds there as in Hong Kong.
So the question would be then, are you above the rain?
Well,
in that circumstance.
Yeah, you could be.
I mean, at 162 stories, at 119 we were above the clouds in Hong Kong.
Yeah,
it definitely
that'd
be
interesting.
Could be.
Well, I know in Hong Kong, you always look with anticipation when you and I go there to stay at the Ritz-Carlton. I swam on the 140th floor. I think their pool's up on the 140th, and that was pretty amazing. But you're kind of disappointed when you spend that kind of money and then can't see anything.
Can't see the city, might as well can't see the lights.
Yeah, you might as well be down on the 10th floor.
It's like you're in an airplane.
Yeah. So anyway, the tallest building in the world. If you get our weekly travel alert by going to executivetravel.com, clicking on get registered and subscribe to the weekly travel alert. It's an email that goes out to 100,000 people every week, Paul. Been doing that now since 30 plus years. We've been in business now almost 38 years. And we started out sending 100 faxes out before the internet, and then came along a computer fax machine, and then came along the internet. So that's progressed over 30 years to now 100,000 people get that. So it's a lot of fun if you want to receive that. We also have some links on the email weekly travel alert that show you this building and others. And as you watch this podcast, you'll see some of the pictures. Number 2 on this week's list of things I saw, 3 letters, Paul, describe the weather in Dubai. Can you guess what that is?
I can guess what that is, and it's H.O.T, which is one of the reasons why I guess Dubai isn't at the top of my list.
Yeah.
Experience, especially this time of year.
Well, especially June, July, and August, maybe even September, it can get 100, 110, 120 degrees. That's hot. I don't care even if you got air conditioning.
I mean, it's in the desert.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you just have to recognize that that's what you're going to.
You bet. So if you're going to go to Dubai, you probably want to go there in November, December, January, February, March would be your best 5 months of the year.
What does their winter look like? What
does
it get down to? Is it 50s and 60s?
No.
Or does it get cooler than that?
No. It's in the 70s, 80s.
Okay.
Yeah,
so that would be the perfect time to go.
Perfect time to go. Okay. Number 3 in this week's list of the Weekly Travel Alert, I put together 12 observations on my trip to Dubai that I got back from. Dream big dreams in Dubai. And, the one thing I always like about going to Dubai, Paul, is it lets me think bigger. Lets me think big, dream big dreams, I say. Because everything there literally was a dream of somebody that started this almost 70 years ago. It was basically a fishing village. And they had a big dream, and they made that city out of nothing, literally out of nothing. And I usually like going there for, which is number 4 on the list, is the Museum of the Future. It's a brand new museum, started a couple years ago. You get to go to the Museum of the Future, and it gives you a glimpse of some of the ideas that come about to us. And of course, in the last 2 or 3 years, we've seen this massive increase in futuristic type of things, EVs, self-driving cars,
AI,
Gen AI, all those things, and that's only going to accelerate. So we have to have a mindset that's bigger than who we are.
And I think it's cool because, that's one of the rarities is most museums are about yesterday and history, whereas this is looking towards the future. Yeah. And, I think that's something to where what can we do that's going to have a positive impact on the future? And it's beyond what many of our imaginations can comprehend, what they showcase there.
The next item is probably shock a lot of people, because when I ask people, how did Dubai get started? How could they fund all this stuff in Dubai and grow? And most people say, well, it was oil revenue, right? Wouldn't most people say that?
That's what you think.
Yeah, but it actually was something very different. It was actually a tax system that charged no taxes. So money all around the world, Paul, Dubai was a magnet for that money because you didn't have to pay taxes. So whether that came from Russia, China, Asia, Europe, or whatever, was the magnet that caused all this massive money to flow into Dubai and take this little fishing village and grow it into this world-class city of today.
Well, I guess if I had pockets full of money and didn't want to give it all to the government, that seems to be a place that would draw me.
Okay, number 6 on this week's edition of the Weekly Traveler. Now, the state bird for Nebraska is the western meadowlark. You knew that.
Well, I'm just going to ask you not to do your bird calls.
No, I'm not doing any bird calls today. But the state bird of Dubai is the crane.
But not the sandhill crane.
Not the whooping crane. The CRANE crane, which is the construction crane. Now, the one thing I've noticed is there's not as many cranes as there used to be. 5 years ago, I bet there was 5,000 cranes on the sky. Now there's hundreds, but it's nothing like it used to be. So it seems like it's settled in. Perhaps interest rates are slowing things down. Perhaps they've reached their size that they're going to be for a while.
Yeah, well, there's only so many people with such deep pockets that can go and afford the lifestyle over there. So that would make sense. At some point, you're going to hit capacity.
Number 7 is what I really like to talk about. There are more 5-star hotels here in Dubai with amazingly low prices. So I got to stay at what I think is probably the best hotel in the world, the Burj Al Arab, and it's the one that sits in the Gulf and looks like a sail. Mm-hmm. And I was assigned that hotel. I didn't pick it. I went to a conference, and literally they said, "This is the hotel you're going to stay with." And usually I get the runt of the litter, and this one I got like the pick of the litter.
You didn't get the Super 8?
No, okay. Super 8. This thing is just amazing. It's not a 5-star. It's a 6 or a 7-star. It's like impossible to explain.
And what kind of rates do they have this time of year over there in a world-class hotel?
$1,500 a night.
Okay.
For an average suite that they have. And obviously it didn't cost me that. I was able to secure a very reasonable rate through the conference that I went to.
But if you were just going and not necessarily going for that world class, but going for that 5-star, what would that run this time?
You're going to be shocked. I asked, we have working with us, #Snurly, Ryan Swihart. Ryan started looking up the price of 5-star hotels. And what did you see, Ryan?
Sub 200. Lots of sub 200.
He saw 5-star hotels less than $200 a night. So if you want to experience amazing stuff, kind of go on the shoulder season between the transition from cool winter to hot, and you'll find amazing deals. So actually, May's a good time to go there and experience, those fancy hotels that you won't see anywhere else. So that's number 7 on this week's edition of the Weekly Travel Alert. Dubai is the hub for Emirates Airlines. Emirates is known as their first class for their great first class service. They fly Airbus 380s. They fly Boeing 777s primarily. And I got to tell you something, Paul. What happened to me?
Oh, I've heard already. Everyone's heard already.
Everybody,
You're a little excited.
So I go 2 days before I'm going to leave, and I find a first-class seat using my points, my miles, first-class Emirates, which is known for the best first class in the world. So you get your private little suite with a door that closes, your private mini bar. They serve you caviar and Dom Perignon champagne. This is heaven on earth.
But is it your level of caviar, or do they not go to that level?
Here's a trick, a cute little story. Of course, the ladies bring in caviar, and I'm a farm boy from Pawnee City, Nebraska. I don't know anything about caviar. And she goes, "Sir, would you like some caviar?" And I say, "Well, of course, I only eat beluga caviar." I said, like I knew what I was talking. "Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have that." So I had to chuckle because I know nothing about caviar. I knew the name beluga, and I threw it out at her. She thought I was a mucky muck. And
all you wanted was a Miller Lite.
So we had a little fun there. So anyway, number 8. This is a blast on this week's list of 12 observations on my trip to Dubai. Off-road sand dune bashing is my favorite. This is fun. You get in these vehicles, 4-wheel drive vehicles. They let some of the air out of the tires, and they go bashing all these sand dunes, and you just have a blast. You're scared to death because you think you're going to tip over.
I've seen videos of it.
Yeah, and then you go out and you do the falconing and all the things you do.
The dinner out in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, then you go to a dinner, and then you do the camel rides, of course, Paul. Now, I got to tell you another story. I'm walking up to this camel. They're down on their knees, right? This camel looks at my size. He looks me right in the eyes, and I swear I saw a tear. No. So it is a blast. You got to do this. You got to put Dubai on your bucket list because sand dune bashing is just a blast.
Didn't you also do? Maybe I'm getting ahead. Not this trip, but a prior trip. Didn't you do Formula One racing or something along those lines?
Well, it was drag racing.
Drag racing.
They had these 2 Camaros and a guy named Rocky Rocco, and I raced 2 or 3 times, I think twice, and I of course won.
Did you? Of course. Well, you can't let a Canadian beat you.
No. So anyway, hey, number 9 in this week's edition of the Weekly Traveler to the top 12 observations of my trip to Dubai reads, the world's biggest aquarium is in Dubai. This thing is massive, a massive wall of glass, as you can see all the fish going on. So anybody that's been maybe down to Nassau, they have a giant aquarium there.
At the, what's the name of the hotel?
Atlantis?
The Atlantis.
Atlantis Hotel down there. So, but this is the biggest in the world. So, and of course it's air conditioned and everything. So it's...
While we're on that, since when I think of aquarium, I think of family. What was the mix? Were there a lot of young children there, or people traveling as families, or?
Yeah, because Dubai has become kind of the center area. I call it a Disney World without the Disney World.
Without the characters.
Yeah,
okay.
and literally there's all these family events, and we're going to talk about things that are indoors, because everything is indoors.
Yeah, well, it has to be. It's going to be 100 plus degrees.
Yeah, so with that in mind, number 10, Dubai is a very safe city. You don't have to worry about crime there. And let me tell you why. Because they enforce the rule of law. If you steal something, they chop off your hand.
Well,
that kind of keeps people from stealing, right? I mean, but the point is, it's really safe. And you really don't have to worry about walking around down there, female, male.
It sounds like it's a pretty diverse mix of
very
cultures.
Much.
So
the whole world.
It's interesting because you can pull people together from everywhere and have no issues, yet the governments of the world make it so that it seems like every different culture's got to have a problem with somebody else. So the governments tend to be driving some of these challenges we've got.
Absolutely. Number 11 on this week's list of the top 12 observations from my trip to Dubai reads, the largest billboards in the world are in Dubai. You won't believe this. A billboard was 1/4 of a mile long and 8 stories high.
Yeah. Wow.
That's massive. And then also, I found 3D billboards.
Okay.
You know, so like they would have a hand, and it was like it was coming out of the billboard at you.
Okay.
It was kind of scary.
Yeah.
Almost. It's like, whoa, 3D. So if you'll notice that they're all over the place. And I think sometimes they use them to hide things.
So I'm sure, yeah. Or to noise deflection.
Yeah, noise
things
deflection
like that.
too. Yep. Okay, number 12, I've got, you can ski on snow even when it's 120 degrees outdoors. They have literally a ski slope indoors that you can pay, ski, and it's obviously cold enough to keep the snow down there.
That's pretty cool.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Number 13, actually, which there is no 13, is I put a little bit of...
So let's make one up.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
P.S. I'm lucky. And I just bragged about being on Emirates, both there, and I got to come back on them, too.
You went from being a poor schmuck in Polaris class on United to being both direction on Emirates.
Well, and
must be rough.
And to tell the readers this, I can only do this because I've got miles from my credit cards.
Because those tickets would cost $10,000 to $15,000 each way.
Each way. This could be a $30,000 trip, and if you stayed in the Burj Al Arab for 7 days at $1,500, there's another $10,000. So. I can't believe it.
It could be a $40,000 trip if you were doing it just one person.
Yeah, so, and I was fortunate to use my points. So,
but I think a lesson that might be useful to our watchers or listeners here today would be, you continued to watch availability using those miles up until
2 days
of departure.
Before. Yeah,
and that's when that space opened up for you to go that direction.
Right.
So you were able to lock it in coming back weeks ago, but you continue to watch, and all of a sudden the airlines open up space. They'd rather have you use your miles that have some sort of value to them than upgrade somebody that just paid for a coach class ticket but has status. So I think that's a lesson that can be learned and hopefully be of value to some of our viewers.
Yeah, I literally was watching this to see if this first class was available for 3 months, almost weekly, and then the last 3 weeks, every day I was watching, and I almost fell out of my chair when it became available.
I'm sure. I'm probably, if my windows at my house would have been open, I would have heard you at 10 o'clock at night when you came across this.
Yeah, so definitely, I could barely go to sleep.
Oh, I got it! I'm in first class on Emirates.
Well, I'm a first class taste with a Coach wallet. How about that?
Champagne taste with Busch Light budget.
Hey, we've had fun talking today about Dubai, the United Arab Emirates. You really need to put it onto your bucket list. And one of the things I'm going to recommend before we go, Paul, is Emirates allows you to do a stopover.
That's like 2 nights. They formally announced this just this last week, where if you're going through Dubai, they will actually, if you're in business class, they will give you 2 nights hotel. So I don't know how long that's going to last, but that was quite a deal. And I'm sure they're giving you a menu of 5-star hotels that they're going to cover for you.
So think about this. Let's say you're using Emirates to fly to India, stop over 2 days, do the Burj Al Arab, any of those 5-star hotels, do sand dune bashing, have fun in Dubai for a couple days. If you're going to Africa, Emirates is a great place to travel through, to go there. They, of course, go to Australia. And actually, some people now use them to backhaul into Europe. Mm-hmm. You can go into Athens or go into Greece. So, and also, they've got a weird thing. They have this thing where they fly from New York to Milan and New York to Athens that aren't hubs. Yeah. So most people aren't aware of that, but that's where you can find some great deals. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this week's edition of the Weekly Travel Alert. Now is when you go the bing, bang, zoom.
That's the like, subscribe, share, and add any comments or feedback on topics that would be of interest for you for future episodes. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.